Hello, I'm Adrienne Green, and I just wanted to take a few moments to talk to you a little bit about what I do and who I am and how I got there. So where do I start? What do I do? I illuminate the path for you and shine the light so that you know how to reach your potential. But how did I get to this position in life? Well, I spent many years in a very ordinary existence, as most of us do, going, 9 to 5, being a good girl, doing all the things we should do, earning a living. And I got married, I got divorced, all the normal stuff. And there's key times in our lives that are really a turning point that enable us to change direction. And for me, one of those was actually 2000, the Millennium. And for me, at that time, everyone was so excited about the new futures. My future was actually quite uncertain because I was going through divorce number 2. So you could say I was a slow learner or a hopeless romantic. I'll let you choose. So for me, it was a big turning point, a big unknown of what was going to come and how I was going to live it, not just survive it, not just exist, but actually live it. And I took that opportunity by the scruff of the neck to actually explore a totally different way of living, because that's what I needed at that time. I've since learned that, of course, our emotions are constantly there to help and guide us, to try and show us when we're veering off course. And so they're like my own personal sat nav. At the time, over 20 years ago, I didn't understand that. I so wish I had, but I know now, and that's the most important thing. So when life is throwing us curveballs and big dramas, it's because we've missed something. We've missed a signpost that actually our lives, our own personal lives, were out of alignment in some shape or form, and that there are ways that we can do to change that. So in 2000, I did some personal development and started to realize that actually there was an entirely different world out there. And I found myself fascinated by, of all things, reflexology. And so I started to receive that and then had to go and learn more about it. I was absolutely amazed by the links of the physical body and our emotions, how we could actually change things and improve our health and well-being. Let's face it, without our health, everything is actually really quite superficial. We need our health first and foremost. So I was still in the day job of 28 years at that time, going through the motions. I'd always felt like a square peg in a round hole. And I actually wanted to do much more holistic things had come to me. That was the blessing from the divorce, the freedom from the divorce. And so I started with the reflexology. I started learning other modalities as well, but I was still running the 2 lives separately. My life wasn't whole. Because of course, the natural fears that we have as human beings is, will I still be able to pay all the bills? Suddenly, it was the 18th of every month, money came into my bank account without fail. The job may have been challenging at times, but money always came in. And so I created a plan. I had a thought because I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to let go of that job and fully embrace and immerse my new career, a new learning. But there was that fear factor that held me back. And so for me, the question was, what do I want? What do I need? What I wanted and needed was a redundancy package. There was none on the horizon. There had been some, I'd missed them, but so there was no future ones planned at all. So it was a case of, no, that's what I want. For some of us, we might think winning the lottery, but it was, no, that's what I want. Because that would do 2 things. One, it makes it much easier because I have to leave the job. kind of got me out of making the decision myself. But two, it would give me a little nest egg, a little that I could rely on if I needed to. Lo and behold, what happened? A few months later, they did some restructuring at work, and we were all told that we no longer had jobs and that we had to apply for new jobs within the company. No, 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 that was not what I wanted at all. And that was one of those sort of like split second moments where it's like, no, I want a redundancy package. Stick to the plan, Adrienne. That's what you're creating. And that's what I did. I held firm, I held strong that that was what was going to happen in my reality. And after sufficient numbers had jumped ship or, relocated, lo and behold, a package was found. And there was a number of us who then paid off new lives. So that was living proof to me that using my thoughts and my feelings, I can and do and will change my reality to whatever it is that I need and want. So I then fully immersed into my world. I also attracted a new partner into my life, and we have been together now 19 years. So that was very special and so so equal, which the previous ones weren't. And so fast forward a little bit, the next big number was 2012. And as some of us will know watching this, that was, in some cultures was going to be the end of the world, or the end of the world as we know it, maybe. And for me, it was another upgrading, another up-leveling. It was the opportunity to become one of the very first trainers in the world in something called the balance procedure. And this is something that I had been a practitioner in previously. I knew, much as it terrified me at the time, I had to do it. I had to be one of the first ones. For whatever reason, I don't think it was ego. I think it was just this inner knowing I had to be doing. And so life continued. It evolved. Clients became busy doing instead of being, a human doing. We can all be guilty of this. We can all slip into that, especially when we're passionate about things. It's not just boredom. It's passion as well that drives us. And we don't always realize we need to put the brakes on now and again, the personal balance back into life. And earlier this year, a dear friend of mine said to me, "You are much more than your Facebook page says you are." And I thought, what does she mean? And so I pondered that and I thought about it. And I asked a few other people that I'd worked with, clients and students. And it was like, oh, yeah, she was right. Absolutely. Because the me that started that holistic awakening and journey and learning hadn't stopped and taken stock of how much growth I'd had, how much I had evolved and changed. And now, no, stop again, Adrian. At the very beginning, what I'd always wanted to do was just be in a position where somebody would book a session with me. Not they booked reflexology or Reiki or crystals or a modality. They booked a session. And then we talked about what we needed, what they were, presenting with at that time. And then I would use whichever tools I had to create a solution for them. And of course, that is actually that's the point that I'm at. Hence, I've evolved myself. I've owned up to what I had become. So it's Adrienne Green, the Illuminator, lighting up your true potential. Because when you work with me, that is exactly what I do. I do this whether it's in a one-to-one session or in a workshop session. I need new teeth now. Either of those situations. Obviously, at the moment, in 2020, we're in global lockdown, so it will be virtual. But again, that works. We are all connected, showing us that we're not actually in the isolation that we initially fear we are. We still have this connection. We can still reach out to people. We can still grow together, nurture each other. So important. So the question is, of course, in special dates, what is 2020 going to say about you when you reflect back on it? What will your 2020 be? What will the storyline be? Well, of course, it'll be whatever you want it to be. You can be the phoenix rising from the flames, from the ashes. It's a challenging time for many people. Of course it is. I'm not wanting to dismiss. And for those of us that are perhaps in the midst of losing loved ones as they're preparing to pass on, and we can't be with them physically as much as we would like to be, of course it's terrible. Please try, if you are one of those people, please try to remember we are linked with our loved ones in our heart. And they are always there, and we can always connect with them in that way. They will know that you have not forsaken them. So that is an important thing for all of us to remember. Thoughts are so powerful. Make sure your thoughts are going out to your loved ones, offering support. We had a situation recently where a dear friend of mine had to go into a UK hospital for a major operation. And so the intentions, the thoughts, the prayers, the Reiki, the balancing, every tool possible was thrown into the mix for it to be successful. She was understandably concerned with the virus going around, that she was heading into the lion's den. And not only was her scheduled operation of 12 hours, 7, she was home within 1 week, and the ward she was in was the ward that did not have any virus. So keeping those intentions and that focus powerfully on what you want and not what you fear brings results. So whether you can do that with your own skills and knowledge, whether you come to somebody with some extra guidance in fine-tuning that, try it, because that's the power we all have. So as I say, I work with people on a one-to-one basis or in groups using whichever modalities I feel fits the bill for them to achieve. And I'll just take a couple of minutes to perhaps give you a couple of examples of what's happened. So there was a lovely young lady who came to me because her life wasn't as she wanted it to be. So I asked the obvious question, what is it you want and need? And she wanted a life partner in her life. And so we did a little bit, I guess you'd call it life coaching, but we used a few things, and I set her some tasks to do to really hone down what that person would be, what they would look like, what interests they would have, that those interests would match her interests, that the physical characteristics, the emotional side, and also what she would bring to that partnership. Because it is a partnership. It's not one individual and another individual sharing a lifetime together in a household. They can still have individual interests. There must be a bit in the middle as well. And that's certainly what I've learned from my marriages. So we set her the task. She came and saw me just a couple of times, and she left feeling much more positive, clear at what she wanted, and off she went. And that's what I love. I love the fact that my students, my clients, my extended family don't have to keep coming to me. Now that might sound bizarre, and you're like, but surely you want business. Yes, but what's the total world population? There's plenty out there. I want each and every one of you to be able to fly high in your own lives and to know enough to circumnavigate the scary bends and the dips that we create sometimes when we've taken our eye off the ball. That's what I love doing. So anyway, 2 or 3 months later, I suddenly get a message from her. And the message just said, he's here. And I'm thinking, who's here? Postman? What's she talking about? So message back. And excuse me. And she said, no, he's here, my partner. And she'd suddenly met this gentleman who actually had been on the periphery of her social circle for years, but she'd never seen him because she wasn't looking for him. She wasn't clear about what he would look like, would embody, until recently. And so now they are embarking their journey, their lifetime together, with many common interests and some individual interest, which they are both happy for the other to explore. So that was so heartwarming, warming for me, that reality came back. And of course, I learned something from every person I work with, because that's what we're here to do, learn and evolve. Another quick story, I was at an International Women's Day event a couple of years ago, and it was held in the UK. And we have over here, possibly it's worldwide, I'm not sure, an organisation called the Rock Choir. So this is where just ordinary people that perhaps don't think they can sing can go along and join the choir, and they're singing rock anthems and popular songs and just having a really good time together. And so the local choir was coming to perform event. So some of the members of the choir were arriving in 2s and 3s, and a couple of ladies stood by my table, and the older of the 2 ladies were sort of looking at it all and going, what's this all about then? Fabulous answer or question. Brilliant. I love it. Thank you for asking it. Let me tell you. At the time I was talking primarily about the balance procedure. So I asked her to pick one of the symbols. I'll show you now. Here we go. Yeah, so you've got the symbol there. And the words, not that clear, but I don't think, to come up on this is, I am creative, I am a pioneer. She just picked the shape and the colour for whatever intuitive reason. She didn't understand. I wasn't letting her see the wording. I just wanted her to pick the symbol she was drawn to. So we checked, I showed her how to check whether she was in alignment with the energetic qualities of that symbol. She wasn't. Then explained to her the importance of it, bearing in mind she was about to sing. This symbol is linked to her throat chakra. So of course, communication of all types, most importantly, singing. So she was, oh, okay. So I showed her how to realign herself, which she did successfully. And this only took a couple of minutes. And she then started chattering. The communication was in full flow. And she was telling me that her doctor had actually signed her up for some cognitive behavioural therapy. And then she paused, and I looked at her. And I said, so how's that working for you? And she shook her head and she looked at the floor and she went, it's so hard. It's so hard talking about something that happened 5 years ago. I went, well, I bet it is. That's why I love this, because we can effectively draw a line in the sand behind us and just live now. Ooh. And then off she had to go to join the choir. Now, I would just point out here, there is absolutely nothing wrong with cognitive behavioural therapy. And for some people, it is an absolute lifeline. And some people want and need to talk about past experience. For this lady, and for many others, it wasn't the right modality or maybe the right practitioner to feel able to work through it. So anyway, at the end of the event, I kind of got stuck holding the door open as people are filing out, and they're going past. She went past and she said, thank you. I said, you're welcome. And back in, she went, no, and blocked the doorway. She went, no, thank you. She said, I enjoyed singing today the most I have. And I'm like, oh, no, thank you for sharing that with me, because it's so heartwarming, warming, you know, brilliant, thank you. And off she went. And that was the end of the story, as far as I knew. Anyway, I was chatting during a workshop I was running. I was using this as a live example of how powerful our thoughts and our emotions are, and we're in alignment with that we wish to do. And so we talked about this, and one of the ladies there said, actually, I know that lady. Now, normally, and I don't say names, and normally I perhaps change locations and make it nice and anonymous. No, I've got an extra bit to add to it. Oh, okay then, right, come on then. And she said that lady had been at the choir for 8 years. She had always done harmonies, stayed in the background. Since the International Women's Day, she actually put herself forward for solo parts and got them and performed for a live audience at the front of the choir. And so sometimes we just need somebody to say to us, just draw that line, let it go, and live now. And that is what the student believed was one of the most important things. So fabulous that this lady now is living her life to its fullest. We can all do that, whatever age we're at. So thank you for listening to me prattle on a little bit. If anyone would like to know more, please do contact me. You can contact me on Facebook, Adrienne the Illuminator, or you can look for me as Adrienne Green. My website at the moment is not live. It's been completely revamped, but keep a lookout for adriennegreen.co.uk because it will be up and running very, very soon. And this recording is also going out in the online well-being fair. So I will actually be available live at that 1:27, 1:20, something like that, or throughout the day anyway. If anyone wants to pop any questions in the feed for that event, well. So thank you so much. It's been an absolute delight chatting and sharing some of my insights. And so I hope that 2020 will be an amazing turning point for you too.